Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Catholic Connection. And we are going to be chatting today with Nicole Haugen. She will be our guest, and we will be discussing how to cope with grief and suffering during the holiday. Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, Nicole. So nice to meet you. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we are going to have a delightful discussion. And the reason why we were brought together, I want to mention this because it's so important. Last week, I had interviewed Amy Brooks, and we talked about the Cozy Catholic Christmas catalog. And as I was flipping through it, your article appeared,
Yeah.
which I thought was so timely and so wonderful. So that opened my eyes and connected us together. So I'm so glad that you're joining this morning. And how are you doing? How's the weather where you're at?
Good. It's actually pretty nice out. So I live in North Dakota, and so usually about this time we've already had snow, so we don't have any snow, so
Oh,
here's
you haven't
hoping.
had snow yet?
No, we've had just some parts of the state have, but we just had just a few flakes in the morning on the ground, so I'll
Just
take it.
a preview of what's to come. Actually, we had a storm. I live in the Midwest. Storm yesterday morning, so that was our first taste of winter. But
Mm.
as you're looking around today, most of it has melted away, which I love.
Nice.
So that's
Nice.
good. So why don't we open it up, Nicole, and just let you introduce yourself to our viewers and tell them a little bit about how you got started in your ministry, your Catholic grief ministry.
Yeah. So my name is Nicole Haugen, and I live in North Dakota with my husband, Will. We've been married 16 years. We have 6 girls, and their ages 15 down to 6. And my story, so I mostly worked as a hospice nurse in my nursing career, and I really enjoyed it, really loved it. In 2019, so I was working as a hospice home health nurse, and my dad had had cancer for 10 years. And so we knew in March, he was in those final, stages of the cancer. So he passed away the end of July 2019. I had my 6th daughter just 6 weeks prior to that. So postpartum stuff. Dad passed away. And then 4.5 months later, my mom passed away very suddenly in a winter storm. It was storming, and so she thought she turned into her driveway. The water was equal to where her driveway was that winter. And so you could see where her tracks went, where she thought she was turning into the driveway, and she missed her turn. Her car was submerged in water. We didn't know she was missing until the next day, and so called the authorities. They came out. It took a day or so that night, actually, the wind kind of shifted so we could see where the tracks went. So they're like, okay, that's where we'll start the search then. And they found her car about a day or so later in the water, and then her body they found a couple days after that because it wasn't in the car. So that was very traumatic, and it was right before Christmas time. So then Christmas was just kind of a blur. Let's just do something for the kids. And then in January of 2020, so about a month after my mom passed away, I found out about financial infidelity in my marriage. And that had been going on our whole marriage at that point, and I didn't know. And so just the grief that came with losing the marriage I thought I had, and then COVID hit, and so everything shut down and all the things that changed in that. And so really about a year or so later, I found coaching and realized how much that changes your perspective on everything. And so that's just been kind of my grieving journey and helping others grieve as well.
Beautiful. I'm so sorry for all your losses and the trauma. Like you said, that one thing after another, even just one of those incidents is enough to take a hold of you. But in succession like that, very, very difficult. And as we all know, grief comes in different stages. And the holidays, especially, whether it's a recent loss or it's one that you have experienced many years ago, there is no time frame, correct, with grief. There is no, time that, okay, and a lot of people, unfortunately, I think in their trying to help you through it, they don't know what to say, they don't know what to do. And, they're ready to go on, and you're not. And it comes and goes, correct? Grief comes and goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to think of grief as like a marble cake. So you have grief, like which is the cake, but marbled cake is like all the different layers and all the different things come up at different times, and it's just as like a swirl of these emotions, and it feels so unexpected, like nobody can prepare you for it. And so everything just feels like an attack of all of these emotions. And it feels almost traumatizing every time it happens again, especially when the world tells you, or people tell you, like, well, it's been 6 months or it's been a year. Like, why haven't you moved on? And it's like the fifth year of Christmas was probably my hardest.
Mm-hmm.
And or maybe the third, right? Like, so like it comes in different times. And a lot of times too, that first year, you're so numb almost to it that everything, like, yes, you hit all the first that first year, but you feel so numb that it probably doesn't hit till the second or third time around. And I think that's where people, meaning well, want to help, but people go on with their lives, like they just forget, and so it's
Mm-hmm.
just normal. But it makes you feel lonely and forgotten.
Yes. And I think a lot of things about the holidays, the preparation, and as you mentioned, I watched several of your videos. If everybody wants to really tune in to this subject, I suggest, of course, your Instagram page, because you do reels here, but take a look at your YouTube channel, which I'll link below too, because those are complete videos talking about the subject. And as you mentioned, 2 months ago, you already saw Christmas in the
Hmm.
stores.
Yeah.
You know, they're just about ready to put the fall up in September, take it down in a few weeks, and put Christmas up. So these all these are triggers. When you're seeing all of that, and you may have triggers of some memory, right? Some memory of the past, uh, that used to bring you, I guess, comfort and joy, because you're thinking back about those joyful times and those wonderful times. Maybe baking was a big deal for you with your family, and you've lost your mom or your sibling that you used to do that with. So all of these things, songs as well, music that you remember, maybe you all sang around and sung Christmas carols. There are changes that happen. And so this time, we'll be, before we know it, into Advent. And of course, we think of those messages of Advent: hope, peace, joy. Did I miss one? Hope, peace, love.
Yeah. There we go.
Love and joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what I'm encouraged for you to share with the viewers, Nicole, is your coping mechanisms, your skills that you can tap into to cope in these times, whether it's a loss of a loved one, a friend, a family member, maybe you've gone through a relationship that dissolved, maybe you've gone through a divorce, and so your life has changed. That dynamic for what it's going to be in the holidays is not the same. Can you help us through that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I do think that grief can be a variety of things, right? Like it doesn't have to just be the death of somebody because grief really is truly just a major loss that you've had. So yeah, it can be a job, it could be a divorce, it could be the death of somebody. And I also think like with all of the decorations and stuff, like we are triggered sooner and it's again, it just you feel caught off guard almost by it. You're like, oh my gosh, like why do I already feel like anxious or tense or like I'm like something's coming and it's like because decorations come up, they were up, the Christmas stuff was up before Halloween this year. And I heard from multiple people like, gosh, I just like feel like I'm just really missing my loved ones this year. And it's like, I think there's a connection to that. I think that we are triggered and we don't understand and we don't realize. And so, what I help people and what I walk them through is like to help, yes, cope on the different things that come up, right? So the first thing that I always tell people is to name the thing, right? So we can just be like, there's that grief. And when we name it, it helps us give control over it. And a lot of times, too, people, just to throw in our faith with this, people will say, very well meaning people will say, well, God won't give you more than you can handle. And that feels like, I gotta suck it up. I gotta keep going. I gotta, like, okay, push all my feelings down. And I grew up hearing a lot, offer it up, offer it up. And really, I think what my mom meant at the time was to kind of like, yeah, suck it up. Nobody wants to hear you complaining. But, which is fine. But to really, truly offer it up means that we see our feelings and our emotions and we offer them to God. We are uniting them to God. And even though it still feels horrible, it's not saying that that's going to go away. It still can feel horrible, but it's inviting Jesus in, it's inviting the Holy Spirit in, it's inviting God the Father in to unite our pain with them. And so to name the feeling, so you can even just say grief, right? Like you can look at a feelings wheel and get more specific and say, oh, there's really that sadness. I feel despair. I feel hopeless. So like you can pinpoint down the feeling. And when you can do that too, it does help a little bit. But even if you're just like, oh, there's that grief. I have it in my backpack. It's going to be with me forever. So there it is. And then to really describe the feeling in your body. So maybe I like to give it like an image. I like to give it a color. I like to say, is it hot or cold? And so again, this time of year, when we start to see all these decorations and like all the things, like I almost feel like a pressure, like there's a pressure like pushing on my shoulders. I feel a pressure in my chest. It feels like it's almost hard to take a breath. I feel like it's like that dark purplish cloud that's coming right before a big thunderstorm. It's kind of green tinged where you're like, something's coming. It's on the horizon. Like, how bad is it going to be? And so just to describe it and allow that feeling. And then our feelings, if we sit with them, they go away in 60 to 90 seconds. So, minute, minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes, like to just kind of, okay. And then from that place, like, okay, that was just a feeling. It was an emotion. I'm safe. I'm loved. I like to tell myself those things. I'm safe. I'm loved. And then we can plan how we want to show up for the holidays. What things do we want to eliminate? What things do we want to keep? What plan do we want to have? So if we go to a party, do we want to take our own vehicle so we can leave at any moment? Like, do we want to have a code word with a friend or a spouse to be like, I'm done. We need to leave. You need to grab the children. I'm going to be in the vehicle. Like, just then preparing. And I like to tell people that doesn't mean that our feeling won't come back because God gifted us with all these beautiful emotions. And in the beauty of emotions, we don't only get to experience them one time. We get to experience them over and over and over again. We get to experience joy. We get to experience happiness. But with that, there's another side of the coin. We also get to experience sadness or despair or loneliness, sometimes over and over again. And so yeah, I like to just tell myself like nothing's gone wrong. This is grief. And then when I see that, it's like, oh, okay. Like there's nothing wrong with me. I can do this. I can do hard things. And then just plan.
I love it. I love all of those important things to keep in mind because, as you said, if you push it away, I mean, bury it. Okay, I'm going to just act like I'm doing okay. Everything's okay. I'm going to put on that happy face, but inside you're feeling something different. And what I'm taking away by the fact that you are doing all of these different stages and being aware and being preparing and recognizing, but you're also in that kind of taking back and taking control of. And I think that's the thing in the grieving process. You you feel that you've lost control.
Yeah.
It was beyond your capability to stop whatever happened from happening. So you're taking back a little bit of that when, like you said, you're going to prepare, get that calendar, whether it's a planner, physical calendar, whether it's through, your phone or whatever, and make those lists, like you said, list all the things that you normally do, right,
Mhm.
Nicole?
Yep. Yeah. So I like to list everything out, right? Like if you want to go look at Christmas lights, if you usually have holidays with the in-laws and then other in-laws and then your immediate family and like just put everything like Christmas programs, baking, anything that will come up in the next like month and a half, even, certain masses that you want to get to, or like, yeah, just everything. So I lay it all out, I make a list of it, and then I go through and it's like, okay, what can I handle this year? Well, this year for me personally feels okay. So I probably make it a little bit more than I have in past years. But I also would plan on if I like get to that day or if like something came up, is how would I want to cross it off? Would I want to cross it off or would I still, no matter what, want to show up because no, like I really know once I get there, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to love it. It's just, I got to just get myself there, which is okay too sometimes to just kind of fake it till you make it a little bit to get yourself there. Because otherwise, I think sometimes too in grief, we would just like withdraw and not
Mm-hmm.
ever come out of our bubble again.
Mm-hmm.
So just to know too, sometimes like we do have to push ourselves a little bit, but you'll know, you can feel that in your body. You can feel the difference between like, oh, I really don't want to go do this versus like, I do not want to go. It's going to be awful. Like I keep crying. Like I just don't want to be around people. Like there's a difference in your body that you can feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And having those backup plans, like you said, whether that's someone that is your go-to, that if you have a certain word that you could say, okay, that means I'm done, and it's time to go, or whether it is the traditions, like you said, those past traditions that you had growing up and that are part and parcel of who you are, thinking about which ones do I want to continue, right? But
Mhm,
also maybe there's some new ones that I want to bring into
mhm.
my life and my family's life and incorporate into. Isn't that important too? Is keeping some of the old, which was so special and meaningful, but also moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's to again check in and see like what you want to do. Like for our family, like we always had nifla soup on Christmas Eve. And so I make the nifla soup now. And it's something that I get sad when I'm making it, but I want like our whole family, like we would just want to hold on to that tradition. And I
Mhm.
think too, that's where it can get kind of that complicated grief can kind of shift in because for me, I have two siblings. I have an older sister and a younger brother. So it's also trying to keep in mind, like, what things they want to keep or
Mhm.
change for that day, right? But then knowing for myself, like, okay, I still have my immediate family with my husband and kids. Like, maybe we'll just put that tradition on that day with them. If my brother and sister are like, no, like, that's really hard for me. I don't want to do that. Like, so just knowing that just because something's always been done that way doesn't mean we have to keep doing it that way, but it also means that that doesn't have to be permanent either. Like if you decide this year, like I'm not going to make the nifla soup, but that doesn't have to be forever. Maybe next year I want to bring it back. Like so I
Mhm.
think our brains like to tell us that when we make a decision, like it's permanent and we need to make that decision based off of like we shouldn't make it wrong. But we can always change our minds. And so I like to remind people that too, like it's okay if this year you don't want to go to the party that you've gone to for the last 10 years. Life looks different now. So that's okay. And maybe next year you'll want to go. Maybe not, but it's okay.
Mhm. Mhm. That's beautiful. That one has to realize that you give yourself a break, right?
Mhm.
Give
Yeah.
yourself that time that you need. And of course, we lean into our faith. And that doesn't mean that you're not going through times where you're feeling abandoned or you're feeling the loss, where you just feel empty, even when you say your prayers and your rosaries, because of this deep sorrow that you're feeling. But I love the way that you conveyed in the article that you wrote for the catalog is the fact that Jesus is always with you through the highs and the lows, and you're not alone. And if you are going through that grief and that emptiness, right? Remember the sacraments. I always think of the Source and Summit communion, the Eucharist for us, or just maybe sitting in adoration
Yeah.
with all of those heavy feelings, right? Right before Jesus in the Blessed
Mhm.
Sacrament.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
don't forget about the pillars of our faith that are there at the joyful times, but also at the times when we really feel alone and we really feel in despair.
Yeah. And I like to meditate on Jesus in the garden right before he knew he was going to be crucified and he was abandoned
Mhm.
by everybody. And I often like I meditate on that because like that that can be how you feel in grief. Like you feel like abandoned, you feel lonely. You there's guilt that can come. Like with my dad, I felt very very guilty around his death because he was in a lot of pain and I was a hospice nurse and
Mm.
I couldn't fix it. And with my mom, I felt a lot of anger.
Mhm.
But in all that, yes, to remember the sacraments and to just, that's where offer it up is a very beautiful thing in our faith. I think it gets misconstrued in our humanness, right? In our brokenness and our, all the things. But like, it is such a beautiful thing to say. There's been so many times where I'll go to mass and before mass, I'll be like, God, all I have today is my anger. I'm going to give that to you. Like all I have is just this hopeless, like
Mhm.
awful despair feeling. I feel like I'm in the depths of despair. That's all I have today. So I'm gonna like, but I want you to have it. Like, and that is what I really truly think Jesus wants from us is to give us everything, not just the pretty shiny things that we think we can like hide all the ugly away. Like he wants all of us, all of it.
Surrender, right?
Yeah.
Total surrender.
Mhm.
And remember, he knows exactly how we feel. So for us to offer it, to internalize and vocalize in our thoughts and through our prayers and giving that all to him, he will be there, and our Blessed Mother will be there to hold you through those times and bring you a sense of peace and comfort. You know, I wanted to, before we have to go, because I mean we could talk about this topic for maybe part 2, 3, 4 in the future. And I'd love to have you back again too to discuss more. But you are doing a special 6-week, you're in the process of it now, right, Nicole?
Yeah. Yep. Yes. So I run grief groups. And so they're 6 weeks. I kind of adapted this one to do 7 weeks, and we base it off of, we go with the Seven Sorrows Rosary, and we pray that, meditate on that. There's a reflection booklet that I provide. And then really is to have that community, because we weren't made to be alone. We were made for community. And so to just talk with others who are also going through the same thing you are is so helpful. And so, yeah, we're in that now, but then I'm going to run another one in early to mid January, because January is a hard for grief. Like, a lot of people will check in with you during the holidays because they know, but then January comes and people just kind of like, it just feels like you're left alone again. And so I found January almost to be harder than any month, but so I offer it again in January in certain different times of the year. But I do have currently on my website, if anybody is like, I don't know what to do, like I feel like might like the group, but like, just there's a free consult call that you can book and just come and chat with me, and we'll figure it out from there.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So if you're watching now on Instagram, I will link your page down below after our live. And then people would go to your website, catholicgriefcoach.com.
Yep.
Okay, terrific. Yes, love it. You have been, I think, such an encouragement out there, because you are tapping into something that so many people are feeling, and they may feel lost. They don't know what to do. They're all alone, like you said, but you're there to help. And I want to thank you so much for your beautiful occupation as a hospice nurse, because my life was touched by the care and the concern and the just the comfort that I received. Both my mom and my aunt, in a year apart, went through ovarian cancer.
Mhm.
So we're both in hospice, and it was the hospice team that really helped myself and my family in those, and of course the patients themselves, because what I found was they did not want to tell us their feelings because they didn't want to burden us. Do you believe that? Even in their final moments. So
Yeah.
that was why it was so important for them to have someone that they could talk to too. So just a beautiful ministry. And I see how it has developed into what you're doing now as a Catholic grief coach. And it's so needed and so important. So God bless you, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And everyone watching, we appreciate it. And look to the links below where you can go to Nicole for further questions and comments and connect with her. So have a wonderful, blessed day, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks, Nicole.